Above Ground Podcast, episode 201, Coping with the Urban Coyote.
Disclaimer. The hosts of this podcast, Will Foley and TPP, are not medical professionals, and this is not medical advice. Both Will and TPP have first-hand experience with mental illness. They have their own perspective and own thoughts on mental health challenges. Above Ground Podcast was birthed to help those who struggle with their mental health through honest dialogue. These conversations aim to break down the walls while building stronger foundations for positive mental health. By speaking openly and sharing tools, they foster connection. By fostering connection, they convey hope. With connection and hope, we can continue to increase awareness. This is Above Ground Podcast.
Coming at you live with real conversations about mental health from the peerspective, it's time for Above Ground Podcast. Now your hosts, TPP and Will Foley. What up, everyone? Coping with the Urban Coyote. What is the Urban Coyote, you ask?
Healthy versus unhealthy coping strategies.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Pull up your chair.
Pull up your chair. We're going to be throwing some examples, maybe a couple scenarios.
Oh, scenarios? You got scenarios?
I don't know.
You got sandwich cookies too?
No, I don't. But I am gonna be reading stuff off of a sheet that I have from therapistaid.com. So, just for the heck of it.
Big shout out to therapistaid.com.
Yeah. Coping strategies are actions we take consciously or unconsciously to deal with stress, problems, or uncomfortable emotions. Unhealthy coping strategies tend to feel good in the moment, but they have long-term negative consequences. Healthy coping strategies may not provide instant gratification, but they lead to long-lasting positive outcomes.
Positive outcomes. That's what we're all about here.
So I have some examples of unhealthy coping.
I can run you
Go
down
ahead.
a couple.
No, you probably can. Go ahead.
Drugs.
Yeah.
Using drugs. Using anything to numb pain whatsoever is an unhealthy coping mechanism. But even positive things can become unhealthy coping mechanisms. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut off the rest of your list because I don't really know.
No, it's all right.
What else you got?
What did you say that you were doing recently, like last week?
Isolating.
Yeah. Self-withdrawal, overeating, procrastination,
Yep, procrastination.
sleeping too much or even too little,
Yep, all those.
self-harm.
No, I haven't gotten into that yet.
No, I'm just ripping off examples of unhealthy coping strategies. I think anything that's, it says procrastination. I think anything that's going to be diversion from what you're, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Whatever it is that's going to divert you from whatever it is you don't want to feel or do or see.
Yeah. I think one unhealthy coping mechanism, though, can lead to more.
Oh, for sure.
Because, especially like the procrastination. And I'm just thinking about my overall lately. Just like a lot of nights, it's just like, sitting on the couch and by, 10 o'clock, done. Spit the bit, man.
Yeah.
And not necessarily in a healthy way. So, yeah.
I think, even I would think that like, caffeine for some people too.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of those, it could be a healthy coping mechanism for some people that don't like drink coffee all the time. Go out for a cup of coffee. That's a healthy skill.
If you can just have one.
But if you're like me and drink, a pot a day and you're still drinking it and you're still not sure why you're drinking it anymore, just because it's not tasting as good as it usually does. It just becomes a habit. So it's an unhealthy coping mechanism.
Yeah.
And what is it doing? I don't know.
Well,
everything for me, it's all about comfort, right?
Well, you said, I think you said it. You said something along like self-medication, like self-medicating to numb out.
Yeah, numbing out,
I
whatever.
think that kind of sums up whether it's drugs, alcohol, your own thoughts, whatever it is. But like, some kind of, again, a diversion to numb out that.
Yeah, it's about dulling whatever it is.
Dulling.
It's about dulling. And when it stops being dull and it becomes full on numb, then I think that you've reached, when you can't feel anymore. I mean, where else are you going to go from there? And then that's usually when the darkness starts coming.
Do you think, because on the list they have is procrastination, do you think denial, is that the same thing?
Well, it depends on what you're denying as far as procrastination goes.
Okay.
So if you're too depressed to want to get up, right, to work on a personal project, but you're still going to work, you're still taking part in certain things.
I guess, yeah. I
think
if I'm saying like, I'll just say depression. Okay, I'll pick one. And if I'm isolating and maybe not making some helpful choices, and you're like, hey, Tim, like, you okay? Like, you seem like, and I'm like, no, I'm not depressed. I'm good.
denial.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that it could be like masking it, like dulling it out.
Yeah, it is. And it's all, that's a form of isolation.
Okay.
I think it's more isolation than procrastination. Because procrastination is just not doing what you think you should do or want to do or waiting to do it. And
yeah, no, that's good. Do you have any examples of healthy coping strategies?
Yeah, going for a walk, taking a breath, just sitting, shutting off all your social media, shutting off the TV, just staring out the window. Just take a deep breath, stare out the window, daydream. Like, those are all healthy coping skills. Yeah. Just as long as you're not sitting at your desk for 3 hours staring out the window because you don't know what to do. Because that's the other side of this.
Yeah.
Active and really good in good spirits is this, and then in bad spirits is this. And in the good spirits, you're just like, your coping is,
I agree.
is helping
I think
you.
Like self-care would be a good term to kind of like, encompass these. And on the list it says exercise, talking about your problem, eating healthy, seeking professional help, relaxation techniques like, I guess, deep breathing, using social support, which I'm not really sure what they intended by that.
I'm thinking like any sort of peer,
yeah,
whatever. And I'm not talking about groups. I'm just talking about like just going out with your friends.
Yeah. And they have problem-solving techniques, which, I think that would be like seeking professional help and learning like examples of healthy some people honestly don't know.
Or it could be critical thinking about why you're doing something.
Sure.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's...
Could be. I mean, as long as it's like we've talked in the past, is separating fact and fiction.
Well, right.
Yeah,
Separating what's truth versus what's accurate versus what's false. So you can say, well, okay, obviously I feel like this, but I'm really not that. Like, it's just I'm feeling this way. And then being able to separate the fact from fiction and why you're feeling that way and where does that stem from? And how are you adding to that? Because there's that other part of acceptance, and I think that that's the worst part of acceptance that
your own hand?
Is that, again, like, we are the symptom, and we are the
problem, and we are the solution.
That's right. We're both. And, again, there's nothing outside of us that's taking care of us, okay? There's just not.
Yeah.
It's in you.
I agree.
That's where it stems from, man.
I agree.
That's where it stems from.
Couldn't agree more. I agree.
So it's, that's why, like, this is hard work, but it's worth it if you can manage the strength to do it.
I recently am trying to, like, I like that they use healthy versus unhealthy, but I like to use the words helpful and unhelpful, because that way, like, I think can kind of steer you in the right direction as well. Like, ask yourself, is this going to help me, Or, you know what I mean? Is it going to be unhelpful to my situation?
I like that because being healthy or unhealthy kind of is a judgment. It's judgy. Where unhelpful
I mean,
isn't
fine.
judgy.
I just, for some reason, for me, I don't know, it's like just understand it better. I don't know.
But it is at the essence. And if you're going to look at it in a very like fine way of speaking, and especially if you're going to say it in a person-centered way, then yeah, I could see where that is a way better way to do it.
Yeah.
Always learning, folks. Always learning.
Yeah. There's some stuff on there about imagery too.
Yeah, imagery is a very powerful tool. And your thoughts have the power to change how you feel. And you can do this sitting anytime.
Say
you
that
think about
again.
something
Say that
sad.
again about the thoughts.
Your thoughts have the power to change how you feel.
There you go, folks. Right there. That's all you need to know.
That's right.
That's it.
Your
So if your
thoughts
thoughts
have the power to change.
So if they
how
can
you
change it in the
feel.
negative, they can also change it in the positive.
That's right. And we'll say it again at the end in a really cool voice. So you can put it on repeat. Yeah. But imagery. If you think about something sad, it's likely you'll feel sad. And if you think about something happy, I'm going to say you might feel happy. Okay? Depending on your level of sadness.
True.
Okay?
Yeah, I'd buy that.
And again, maybe you think of something sad, and depending on your level of happiness, that sad thing doesn't make you sad this time. Because it really is all about your perspective. Because perspective is really huge in you choosing what coping mechanisms you're going to go to. Everything. Because I think that perspective for me, like I know when my perspective is on, chances are I might make that extra stride to get to that positive part of it, rather than on the other end of it, just like fucking throwing my hands up
right,
and just
I think,
resigning for the day.
Right,
which
think you
is
lose,
what my isolation
you lose
has
momentum.
been. You do, and it's hard. It's hard to shift it back.
Hell yeah, it's hard to shift it back. It's hard to find, to find that step, Well,
it's a fulcrum. Because that's a big fucking rock to move, man. So you got to have a fulcrum pretty goddamn big, which is, and granted, there's lots of therapies out there. There's lots of help yourself books, like Tim's book, and like all.
Never underestimate the power of you.
Never underestimate the power of you, because life is the ultimate DIY project. Check it out on Amazon.
And if you're in the 518, check it out at the Sages Circle.
That's right. Check it out at the Sages Circle. Check it out at Stuyvesant Bookhouse.
Oh yeah, it's there too. Yeah,
it's there too. So,
yep.
Wow, you got a couple places to get it. Go find it. And
back to the episode.
That would have been a good mid-roll.
I would.
Because that's what they call that in podcast land.
We're not too fancy, though, so we just roll.
That's right. So if you're listening and you're like, oh, this would be a cool show to advertise on, just throw us an email at abovegroundpodcast@gmail.com.
We just kick up the kickstand and roll.
That's right. We do, man. We just kick over the engine and throw it in first.
Roll me away.
That's it, man. Roll me away. Absolutely. That's a healthy coping mechanism.
It is. And that's what I mean. Like, these are just, examples of the sheet I was reading. That's why I kind of was asking you.
Well, so back to the imagery part, because I do have a problem with getting off topic here sometimes. And when you think of something positive and relaxing, you can help yourself relax. So the mind can actually help you harness the power to reduce your own anxiety. Now, is that an easy thing to do? No, not right away. But there are different mechanisms that you can use all in concert together to do that. You can start just by taking one breath and actually paying attention to it. And while you're taking that next breath in and paying attention to that breath, think about think about the best thing, like whatever would make you feel, the greatest that you could feel at that moment. And then while you're doing that, you're creating a healthy coping mechanism, and you're actually using your brain and your mind to change the way you feel. At the heart of it, man, that's at the heart, that's epigenetics, right? Isn't that what epigenetics is? Is that we can...
No. Epigenetics is more it's environment based.
Okay.
So
I'm wrong.
The environment is going to change the gene. Like you can take the same thing, put one in this environment and one in this environment, they're going to come out different.
Okay. Wow. All right. Yeah, that's something I'm not very versed in.
I'm not either. I just know what it is. That's about it.
So some ways of imagery, like using imagery, some things to ask yourself while you're using this imagery are, if you're in a place, if you're in your happy place, what's around you? What are you hearing? What are you smelling? Like, it's about using your senses, and using your senses can bring you back into your body, and it's in your body where all this stuff is stored. And if we can exercise we can exercise these demons from our body. My demons, be driven. Then can we get all of it out, right?
Yeah.
Right. So again, healthy coping mechanisms help make the fulcrum push the stone.
When I first started getting into just mindfulness and breathing, I would actually use something similar to what you were saying. Was it helped with my breath is I would picture the ocean with the tide, and as the tide would come in, I'd breathe in, let the tide come up, and then as the tide goes away, I'd breathe out with the tide. It just, for some reason, for me, when I started, I don't know. It just, maybe it made it more interesting, I guess, to stick with it, but it did help me. I don't really use the imagery anymore as far as that specifically goes, but the five senses are like huge for me. It's like they're free, they're there for most of us. We have them.
Yeah, I didn't realize how acute some of my senses, like some of my senses get hyper loaded, and then like there's hearing. Obviously, with us, hearing is a big thing. Sight, smells. Like those tastes. Tastes are okay. Like I'm not. Tastes aren't as as important to me necessarily.
Although I'm like a sweets guy, so like give me like a hard candy or something like that. Give me a butter rum.
Oh yeah, but dude, I'm talking like give me a fucking Twinkie, sweets like that like.
Hold the phone. Wait a minute. We don't want a Twinkie. Hercules.
The hell?
Jesus, Will jumps right to the Twinkie.
Well, yeah, I mean, shit.
I know, I'm thinking like but if you give me like a lifesaver, okay, the butter rum that we like, you not only are you getting the taste, but the smell of it too.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true, and you're getting the sound of crunching it.
Yeah,
it sounds really good.
But I like to let it simmer in my mouth. I'd like to exclusively use it as a hard candy and use it to the full extent of suction in my mouth. Let it simmer right on the tongue.
Butter rum simmered on the tongue.
Butter rum lifesavers. Not a sponsor. But I think laughing would be.
Dude, laughing is a very healthy coping mechanism.
Right.
Until you laugh like I do some times during the day.
Until you're like flipping through the reels on Instagram and you realize 3 hours later you're like, what the heck? Where'd my day go?
Yeah.
But you did laugh, so it's you got
there's nothing really
a little balance there, You got to take take the punches and
algorithms suck, man. That's all I'm going to tell you. Algorithms
I know,
suck.
but there's some funny stuff on there that gets you laughing.
Cat videos.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
for you.
I love cat videos. They're funny. That's a healthy coping mechanism
for you.
for me. Yeah.
How is Fernando? Fernando's
good. Hasn't
bet you-
forgotten me.
I bet you he misses you.
He does.
Fernando.
Every time he sees me, he comes up and expects me to feed him.
And he says, Fernando. But you know what? Actually, all seriousness, like having a pet would, right? Like petting.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be
It's a soothing thing.
right.
It's
It's a touch.
It is. Pets can make up for a lot of things, man. They
Pets
really
and peanut
can.
butter.
Pets and peanut butter. All right. Maybe not peanut butter in your pet. Okay. All right. Do not peanut butter your pet. That is another service announcement.
Yes, that is not. Service announcement number 2.
That's
brought to you by Above Ground Podcast.
See, comedy. It's fun. So you can't take stuff so seriously all the time that, every time, you're going to sob. Well, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that, man. There's enough,
You can, but you have to accept the fact that you're going to stay in that sobbing place for a while.
Yeah, you're not going to move yourself. The fulcrum is not going to move.
Speaking of moving yourself, I think a good healthy coping strategy is journaling, which, kind of started the whole book thing for me. And I think it's helped in my healing journey is, writing down if it's a problem in your life and you keep tripping over it, write it down and, dissect it, what it is and why it's happening. See if you can connect some dots. And then, maybe even write underneath it, like, what strategies are you using? That's a good way to tell if you're using a healthy or unhealthy coping strategy. Ask yourself, are these strategies, serving me or are they sabotaging me?
Yeah, that's some deep stuff right there.
Well,
you got to get really truthful.
Yeah,
with
well,
yourself.
hey, you know what I mean? The truth is, you can decide not to do it now, or the truth is, you're going to be on your ass later on in life wishing you did it.
Yeah, that's true. That
So
could be.
Choose your pain.
Yeah, choose your pain. That is kind of the adage for life, right? You can choose pain now of discipline and practice.
Right.
Or you can choose the pain later of
regret.
And regret is a nasty taste, man.
It's a nasty taste. I think that's a taste that, I don't know, for some people, it doesn't go away. And I mean, some people.
I don't know how much again, though, if you have regret, then you haven't fully accepted. Or is regret possible with acceptance?
I think it is, but it depends on the situation. Like, you can regret if you just, I guess depending on the situation, the way I'm seeing this is I regret the way I made somebody feel, but I accept my actions of where I was at that time, and I've accepted that it's in the past, and there's no reason to focus on it because I don't live there anymore.
Okay.
So I can regret, like, pieces of it, I think. Maybe that aren't directly related, that aren't directly on top of me, I guess, Like, I can regret, again, making somebody feel a certain way or treating somebody a certain way. But again, I can accept that was a small piece of the book.
Things I used to think I regretted, I don't really regret anymore.
Yeah?
A lot of them. So I'm wondering. Yeah. I mean, because again, at a certain point, like, why hold on to something?
Yeah, no, I get it.
That's not holding you anymore.
Yeah. No, I'm fully in agreement.
I mean,
with that.
it's hard. It's hard as fuck to accept, and it's hard. It's really fucking hard to do.
Yeah, but
And
it's possible, and that's
well, it is, and it's at some point you'll feel that way. You hope,
Yeah, I mean,
you think you will anyway, but does that mean you will? I don't know.
well, it's again, you got to try, right? It's like you can't.
Well, right, you can
intention
either-
without action is just intention. You have to do something. You have to create some kind of plan and move towards something.
Well, you do.
You can't just sit here and go, I wish I deserve better. I wish I had better. And why am I not this? It's like that's, you know what I mean? You're gonna drown in your own sorrows.
Yeah, you are. Drowning in your own sorrows, though, can be really nice, comfortable bath for a little while.
It can, but if you do it long enough, the coyotes will come and they'll start nipping at your toes.
Yeah, well, they're already at the door. They nipping.
They can, they can be at the door. You just can't let them in, man.
Yeah,
just
I don't
like
have anything
it's
for
just
'em.
like those negative thoughts.
I don't have anything for them.
Right, the negative thoughts can come knocking, but that doesn't mean you have to let them in.
That's true.
You can just
you
go.
can come and knocking.
Yeah, you can just say, "Hey, no loitering. Get
Yeah.
moving, buddy."
Yeah, there's no vacancy in my mind.
Yeah.
For you negatives. You get out of here, you negatives. You get out. You don't stay here.
Yeah.
You can't stay
We don't
here.
take kindly to your kind here.
That's right. We don't take kindly to negatives. You negatives.
Yeah, so, how are you coping? Maybe it's something that you can ask yourself, And like Will was saying earlier, ask yourself, is the thought that you're having, is it based on facts or is it based on my feeling? Because what you're feeling could be factual, but why you're feeling could not be factual.
Or why you're feeling it may not be the fact. May be factual, but it may only be part of the fact. Because yes, you could have done something, but what you did may have been caused by something that you have no idea about. And you have to look at that, because if not, that cycle comes back. It's a deep inquiry into oneself to really rid oneself of negating beliefs and coping mechanisms.
Jeez, Will just got real.
I don't know how real I got, but
I was listening. What are some things that you think you partake in? Healthy, I should say.
Healthy,
Let me
yeah.
let me rephrase that. What healthy coping strategies?
So if I was living in my healthy coping mechanisms, I'd be walking every day. I'd be more excited to do all the things that I really like to do. That's the hard part for me. That's the hardest part for me.
What?
About my down cycle is that it crushes my want to do any of the things
Sure.
that I like to do. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
It's not that I won't. It's not, and trust me, it's not that I won't go for a walk, because I will. It's the feeling behind it, and the thought that, okay, I know I'm doing this, and I know I'll be doing this tomorrow. It's that, because you don't know if you're going to be doing it tomorrow. So I may do it one day, and then
We had our mental health meetups. We have these mental health meetups every month at the Sages Circle in Glenville, and
440 Saratoga Road, Glenville, New York.
And we had this person say that, like, they were kind of talking like that and like taking their dog for a walk. Sometimes they don't feel like doing it or want to do it, and they said like they do it in steps. Like, all right, well, I'll put my shoes on, and then I'll put my jacket on, and it like makes it better, Like you just take those little steps.
Yeah, little steps.
I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, that is kind of neat. Like, well, who was it that we had talked to about the chair? What wasn't it? I'm trying to think of who it was, but we heard the story about how when all one person did was just get up and move from one chair to the next, and that was something that was a positive for the day if
Right.
they didn't do
I don't know
anything
who
else.
you're
I
talking
forget
about,
who
but-
we were talking about.
But yeah,
But that was a story that we were talking about, how an individual like just didn't get up. So at least if they got up and moved from one chair to the other to a different spot, at least they got up, and that was a positive. And that was the positive that started. Like that was just the spark, because that's what happens. Like you just need a spark, but it's not inspiration. You need to be inspired to start it, but inspiration doesn't keep you going. Like, it really doesn't. Because you have to realize, no, inspiration does not keep you going. It doesn't. Because, like, I don't think it does. I don't think it does, unless maybe the things that you've been inspired by after a while expire and you need something else to be inspired by.
Yeah,
because you've heard it so many times that you're just like,
you can't.
And maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, you eat the same saltine cracker every day. You know what I mean? Sometimes you want to put peanut butter on it.
Yeah,
peanut
maybe
butter.
Maybe some butter.
Ugh. God. Yeah. Oh man. But that's it's like I think, sometimes I'm inspired by like a line in a TV show, and sometimes I'm inspired by a movie or a song or something, or something that you said or I read, or it's always different, I don't think it's going to be the same, motivation podcast or something like that. You can't just listen to the same thing every day. And no, I think for me, I can't, but for me, you got to hit it at all angles, I think sometimes inspiration will come from unlikely places, but it's inspiration nonetheless.
Oh, I think inspiration comes from unlikely places for sure. I just don't know if inspiration can completely keep you going.
I don't know if it can completely, but it definitely for me it's definitely a variable. Definitely helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely know you need it for the start.
Yeah, I think it just what's the word I want to use? It's like I don't know, it's like the grease that makes it a little bit more smooth.
Yeah.
Easier to...
The grease that keeps the bearings
in
the wheels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, for me at least. So if it's not inspiration for you, what do you think?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out right now. That's kind of where it was.
Motivation.
Yeah, it's just... Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
I'm not sure.
No, that's all right. I was just curious.
I got isolation brain.
Isolation brain. What's an isolation brain like?
Very dull.
Dull.
And I don't mean dull as in boring. I mean dull. Like there's just no brightness.
It's not in Technicolor.
No. Nah, it's kind of gray. Not gray, because you never see in gray, but it's just kind of flat.
Like dirty water.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Kind of flat. All right, well.
Yeah, it's kind of flat. Everything's kind of flat.
And it kind of makes, do you think it kind of makes you flat?
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Totally does. Makes it hard to concentrate. Makes it hard to, like, you just, and then you get sucked into the stupidest shit.
Yeah.
Just because you're so all over the place. Like, just all over the place.
I'm kind of used to that, dealing with you.
Yeah, well, hey, that's what you get.
What are we talking about?
This beauty wasn't created overnight.
That's true. Will's a monument of stone.
Yeah. Yeah, stone.
Anything else you want to add? Like what?
No, I think we've
healthy coping strategies that you partake in.
Music.
Music, yeah.
Playing
Definitely.
An instrument, creating.
I was just about to say playing.
It's creating. It's creating, and it doesn't matter what you're creating, man. I think creating and being creative is one of the healthiest coping mechanisms you can ever have.
Yeah.
It's just, again, anything can be a healthy coping mechanism. It's your relationship to it, and then what you get out of it. And if that's, You know, and if that's where you're struggling, your relationship to it and how it's making you feel and how you feel about it, then that's when you need to seek professional help and seek, you know, or seek somebody to talk to or whatever it is. Whatever it is.
No, that's good, man. I like that. I think that you're onto something there with your relationship to it. And I think that goes with everything.
Yeah, it's always our relationship to it.
Yeah.
It's our relationship to it. Because we were talking about, well, and I know we're wrapping up. It's kind of to bring it back around to something that we had talked about earlier, is that, like, that cup of coffee, right? That cup of coffee is comforting. And it's like, it's the relationship that I have to that cup of coffee that makes me keep drinking it.
Yep.
But that relationship to it doesn't necessarily still resonate.
Right.
But yet I continue to drink it. So there's that, you know, trying to figure out, like, why. Is it just the habit of it? Is it... I mean, I do like the taste of it. I really do. Yeah. So it's not like I don't. It's just, you know, you start to question all your things. I think that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I think, again, though, your relationship to questioning things, you don't want to get stuck questioning things.
Right. It's like, when do you stop? When do you get stuck?
Yeah, you have to...
You know, when do you slip down the icy bank and can't get back up?
Yeah.
You know, that's a slippery slope, man. You don't want to get too close to that edge. Because over you go. Whoop!
You know what's over? You know what happens when you get over? Coyotes get you.
That's right. They chew your ass up. They don't spit you out.
They nip at your toes.
So don't let those coyotes get too close.
What coping strategies are you all using?
Yeah,
out there.
Share with us.
Share with us.
Someone
or just,
share with us.
Take some inventory. See what you're up to, and see what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and obviously what does work for you, do that. Yeah, you do you. Until next week, get well. Be safe. Stay above. Thank you for giving us a listen. New episodes every Wednesday. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, you can share, rate, review, and even subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. Other ways to support the show: follow us on social media, share the content, share our episodes. You can also buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/abovegroundpod. For further concerns, show ideas, or just to say hi, you can email us at abovegroundpodcast@gmail.com. Once again, thank you for listening and supporting mental health. Keep the conversation going and stay above.